everybody who are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. And why are the Dallas Cowboys 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron, man. That just never gets old. Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Everybody who's going to spend any time listening to the replay of this, once again, I appreciate it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. I shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free to fire away, throw in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free and fire away. Of course, also, just wait for my dog, Randy. He's scratching. He's still scratching. Yep. As soon as I start talking, he wants to get under the table. I got to move this chair here. Hold on. There we go. All right, my dog's... We can begin. Randy's here. All right, buddy. There you go. He's doing very good much. What was also I was saying? Where did I say? Plus, also, instead of me just rambling on for half an hour, 45 minutes, or whatever it might wind up being, it's just nice to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free, fire away. Right? Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon. Second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third membership level I got is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean so much to me. I thank you in advance. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. Thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. And then finally, also a little farther down in the description box, there's 2 additional links. The top one's a Facebook link, and the second one, it's a Twitter link. It's always been Twitter. It's Twitter today. It'll be Twitter tomorrow. It'll be Twitter 7 trillion years from now, whatever letter of the alphabet Elon Musk wants to call it, that's on him. I'm not calling it that. It's Twitter. It's my Twitter account. I try to put stuff in there every day for the Giants. If you follow me on Twitter, I will follow you back. That's a promise. And then also the link just above it, it's a Facebook link. So New York Giants, the Gridiron is my group. And we have 7,000 members in the group. It's doing very, very well. It's growing all the time. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, if I have internet access, right, I got stuff going in there every day, right, 24/7, 365. And basically, and if you become a member, not only do I put stuff in there, but every day members post stuff in there as well. So between me and the members, there's a ton of New York Giants information going in. The New York Giants, the Gridiron, the group every day. Join it. You won't be dissatisfied. I promise. All right. Well, all that stuff said and done and out of the way with. All right. Here we go. Well, good old Wink. You gotta love him. I mean, the guy's, very straightforward and honest, for the most part, he does a very, very good job answering questions. It's a tough market, especially when things are going bad, and the media asks tough questions and all. And Wink does a very good job. He's rather straightforward with you, but just easy going. Very, very easy going. He doesn't get upset or, nothing or anything like that. It's just very kind of easy, kind of even keel kind of guy and all and everything. So, and I think he does a phenomenal job, I think he does not a phenomenal job with the defense, but, with the media, which is not easy, especially in the New York market. And, he was pretty much straightforward. Somebody asked him, and of course, oh my God, he was up there for like 10 minutes. It seemed like 8.5 minutes of it. They just kept asking questions about Xavier McKinney. But he did a very good job. I think nice and easy, even keel as far as answering. He said he was a little surprised because what he was talking about is pretty much, when they have their meetings, it's kind of like, I think before they leave. Has anybody got anything we got going on? I think he even mentioned something about something. Well, how's everybody's family going? You know what I mean? Like in the meeting, with the guys, the group, right? Yeah. Anybody got anything to bring up or anything like that? How's everybody's family doing? You know what I mean? It's anybody saw, what was it? Not Talladega Nights. Oh man, Will Ferrell's in it. Oh man, I can't remember. It was a what was it? Man, it was oh god, it was a hilarious film. They had like they went back to college. Man, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a place like the guys can like talk. It's a Will Ferrell movie. I can't remember the name of the scene or the scene and all that, but it was really, really funny. But I mean, it's a place. I mean, like they're talking the defensive meeting. If somebody's got something to say, bring it up. Let's talk about it. Let's get it out in the open and stuff like that. All that. And it's so easy. I mean, especially what he brought up too. Was about talking about just like frustration. Xavier McKinney was frustrated. I mean, some of it. Now you don't know if some of it's because the team is just going in the dumper this season. It's it's like it's spiraling out of control. It's the season's over with and all this stuff. Not sure if that's some of it. Some of it's just frustration because maybe I think Wink brought up something along the lines that he saw like what would it be? Maybe something like there was some type of a coverage that he called, and maybe McKinney thought maybe they could have done it a different way or something like that. You're not sure if maybe a little sour grapes going on there because once I brought this up, I think last night, everybody else was getting, Saquon got, some guaranteed money, right? And they took care of him, they did, but they didn't, they didn't get him a long-term deal, but still he's got $10 million guaranteed, which is more money than he made any of his other seasons. Right. Like Miles Sanders went to another team. He didn't get paid. A lot of guys didn't get paid. Saquon maybe didn't totally get paid, but he still got over $10 million guaranteed. If he's not happy with it, you can give me the $10 million. I'll watch the smile go on his face. You want to give me $10 million bucks? Watch a smile come on his face. I'll be happy with it. You know what I mean? So maybe he's a little disappointed, but still he got $10 million and it's guaranteed, right? Daniel Jones got paid. Sexy Dexys got paid. Andrew Thomas got paid. You know what I mean? So now obviously Xavier McKinney. It's time for what we doing with me here, Mr. Shane and Dable and all what's going on here. It's my turn to get paid. So maybe a little frustration out of that and all and everything. The thing is, you don't bring something like that up to the media. Why would you possibly? I mean that's just really why on earth? I mean, what would you bring something up like that to the media? I mean, that's really just idiotic. Absolutely idiotic to bring something like that up to the media. It's you got to give the same, and it's like one of those you pull the string on a doll and the cord go and the doll always says the same thing over and over. You got to give them the same basic. Well, it starts with me. The defense, we got to do better. What can I do to better? I got to go back. We got to look at the tape, clean stuff up. All right, we got to come back out. See if we can get better. It's that kind of that same kind of thing you got. The media is going to bring up to you. They're going to ask you the same kind of questions, especially after a loss. You got to, hey, it starts with me. I got to do a better job out there. Hey, don't worry, I'm not worried about the other guy. It starts with me. What do I got to do better? And I got to, well, I'm going to, I know some things I could have done better out there. I could have certainly, I got to go check the tape out. Some things I got to clean up. Hey, we got to learn from it, clean up, and get going forward. We got a big game against Dallas Cowboys coming up. We can't, wallow in our sorrow here about this one. I mean, it's a tough loss. You got, why on earth would you possibly say something like that to the media? That is just absolutely idiotic. Absolutely idiotic. And, I don't know if he's trying to get kicked off the team, not kicked off the team, but maybe he's trying to go to another team or something like that. I'm not sure. But I mean, you start doing this. I mean, I don't know if Shane and Dable's going to want somebody like that on the team. When things go sour, when things go, bad, and this happens and that, who are you going to depend on? Well, not Xavier McKinney, because he just, right? Remember, the two toughest things, right? When especially when you're a football player, big macho guys and all this stuff and everything, right? The two easiest things to do, especially when things are going bad, right? Anybody, any chump can do this, and any chump can throw a punch, right? Any chump. Straight out freaking chump can do that or throw a punch, right? The man is the one that turns away from the violence, walks away. Somebody gives him an extra shove or hits him or something like that. I mean, the macho guy and all of that stuff. Oh yeah, you hit me, I'm hitting you back. I'm hitting you last. I'm going to hit you hard. Any chump can do that, right? The man, because it's so tough to do. Somebody slaps you upside the head. The man turns around and walks away. Maybe make sure that they take your number down, make sure they get a good clean shot in on you or something like that while the action's going on, right? But if somebody hits you, pushes you, whatever, something like that, or gets in your face and says something, starts talking, the man turns around and walks away. That's the hardest thing to do. A lot of these guys, they think, they're big and macho and all that stuff. Well, I'm going to push you back, or I'm going to get in your face. I'm going to yell at you and this, that, stuff like that. But, because they think they're the man doing that. Well, they're not. The man, once again, for the hearing impaired, is the one that turns around, walks away. The man, when things are going down, when things are tough and this and that and blah, 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 all that stuff and everything, is the one that stays. It's not easy. It's the one that stays level-headed, like the Eli. The even keel kind of whatever, you can maybe have some feelings with it and stuff like that, but, you talk, hey, hey, what do I got? I got to get better. I mean, I can't be worried about my team. They were out there trying to rear ends off. What do I got to do? What can I do to get better? I'm feeling bad here. I think I let my team down today. What do I got to, any chump can just start doing this, right? Especially to the media and stuff like that. So once again, as we see that, there are a lot of men out there. That's for sure. A lot of guys do a very good. And it's not easy. I'm sure it's not easy. But every now and then you start seeing guys, start swinging, throwing punches and talking to the media, like and stuff like that. Just absolutely stupid. And Wink was he was surprised, because I think he said something along the lines like, all the years he's been coaching quite a few years. I don't think he's ever had something like that happen. If there's a problem or something, let's get it out. Right? What's going on? Right? I think he said something about like in the coverage or something. And of course, then the media just kept grilling Wink. It was like one question after the other. And then Wink was, I think you got to just talk to him about it. I'm not exactly, But he was a little surprised. I'm a little surprised too, especially when you're a captain. because once again, a captain, you hold at the highest regards and all that. I mean, they're supposed to have the best of the, in the team, your players, right? Maybe not the coaches. I don't know if they had any votes in it or not. I think it was that the players voted him team captain. Well, one of the 3,000 captains the Giants have. But when you got voted in as a captain, I mean, you're held at high regards. Right? I mean, very classless. Very classless. Yeah, it's here. Hold on, I got it here somewhere. But Wink talking about, I mean, that's understandable. Especially if he's never, ever had anything like that done before. Like I said, because Wink's been, I don't know, as I said, I don't know how many years he's been coaching, but he's been coaching for a long time. Long time. Let's see here. Is this it? Is it? There we go. While Martindale understands where McKinney is coming from, those comments nevertheless had an impact on the locker room, and that too. You know what I mean? Before you open your mouth up, think of the repercussions. As I said, once again, any chump can do this, right? Martindale said it did hurt. It did because I've always been open and I've always been honest with players. And I mean, as far as I know, I don't have anything to say otherwise. It always seems like he's relatively honest and open. Right? He seems like he's relatively honest and open with the media too. Right? He said, I think if you have a problem, it's just how we handle things in that room. When we're, what, I don't know, could be the locker room, could be in the defensive meetings, right? You keep it inside, right? It's nobody's freaking business outside. McKinney, one of the 10 captains the Giants have, has been a Giants since the Giants drafted him out of Alabama in 2020. While the safety was a part of a strong program in college, he has lost 37 total games over the past 4 seasons with the Giants, and he's well on his way to probably losing well over 40 games in his first 4 seasons. So he's not, he's not used to this, shall we say. Martindale said, it surprised me because it's the first time it's ever happened in my career that a player would make a statement like that, Martindale said. I think it was a case of the kid is just frustrated from losing. That's understandable. Everybody in that locker room's frustrated. We spoke, we cleared it up. The example that he gave me of what he was talking about was an in-game adjustment. And I'm not exactly sure, obviously Wink's not going to, expound upon that, Well, it was, what do we got here? DQ's in the house. Wink's not going to say, well, it was 3rd down. We had a 3-high look with Devontae Adams. We wanted to roll his way. But Xavier thought we should keep an eye on Renfro or maybe Jacobs out of the backfield. So he wanted to go, he's not going to do something like that, But apparently it was something like maybe, something with the coverage. Somewhere along the line. Obviously, as I said, he's not to expound on it, in depth and detail over something like that. But, apparently that might have been what it was. But I mentioned this in my video last night too, is that it was just a little odd because, it's just, I think it might have been after the 49er game, right? We had a couple games there. The tackling was just freaking atrocious. Then you had the Noah Fant, Noah Fant, against Seattle. We got the ball, and like 2 or 3 guys had a chance to either tackle him or knock him out of bounds or something like that. And he just waltzed his way down the side. Just some atrocious tackling. And so right around that time, the tackling was not good. The Giants were a very good tackling team last season. But right around then, somebody asked McKinney, I can't remember, so please forgive me. I can't remember if it was in the locker room or if he was in front of the media, like how, they address the media or something like that. But they asked him somewhere along the lines, hey, something about the tackling. Is that the major problem you guys got going on right now? You think is the tackling or something? And he said, nah, I'm not too worried about the tackling. What? Isn't that like the object of the defense? The other team maybe completes a pass. The guy's got the ball. He's running with the ball. Isn't the object to tackle the guy? I mean, I'm not a football player. I played in high school, not very well. But isn't the object? And he's like, no, I'm not really too worried about the tackling. He said there was like other concerns. He said there were other things that were bigger concerns than the tackling issues. So, I'm kind of, so now I don't know if this has anything correlation, because he was talking about quite a few games ago, there was something thought was wrong. And it wasn't, it was more important that was going on than the tackling, which was atrocious. So I'm not sure if that's still carrying over. If he's still pissed off or something from earlier in the season and he's just carrying it on, I don't know. As I said, once again, you don't know if he's just a little mad, upset, or whatever because, he didn't get a contract. So the only thing I can think of is, if he just keeps talking, I don't know why Shane or Dave would want him on the team. You want, smart, tough, and dependable. And that's, dependable there's a few different ways of being dependable. Dependable is being healthy, being able to play. Dependable is having your guys' backs, maybe out there on the field that they can depend upon you and stuff like that. But also dependable is keeping your mouth shut and, doing what's best for the team, doing what's best for the organization, the guys that are paying you, right? So if you're trying to get a contract extension or something like that from the Giants, you're not going about it the right way. You're going about it maybe getting a contract from maybe like another team. That's how But also, there's that too, is that, the more you start talking and shooting your mouth off, you might be kind of the amount of teams that might be interested in you, the amount might start getting dwindling. You got somebody out there doing some talking, when things get going tough, when things start going bad, right? How do you act? How do you react to that? Right? You start doing this, not every team's going to want that. How do you think the defense will do Sunday? My God. The whole season's been just so frustrating because you had those games, right? You had the Commander game. The defense looked really good against the Jets. The first 59 minutes and 30 seconds of the game, defense looked really good. Against Buffalo, took them to the fourth quarter to score any points at all. We are in Buffalo. They didn't score until the fourth quarter. Holy crap. And then you go into, and I was kind of, I just thought this, I thought that this might be a possibility, right? Because, I would rather have played the Josh McDaniels Raiders than the Antonio Pierce Raiders, because I did bring this up a couple times last week, is that Tony, he's an intense guy, right? It was a breath of fresh air. They got McDaniels the heck out of town. I don't know why they hired that guy. He did a horrible job with the Broncos. Well, he stunk with the Broncos, so yeah, let's hire him. He'll be our coach. That didn't make much sense to me. But Antonio is a fiery guy, an intense guy, and all that, and it's just would be rather easy for him just to get the Giants are not good, right? So the Raiders are at home. You got a new coach, Antonio Pierce, get the group all freaking fired up and everything, like they're ready to knock somebody's head off. And here come the Giants, right? So So the first half of that game, was not the prettiest. The second half, the defense looked really good. Gave out, I think, 6 points. I think we gave out like two field goals, I think, in the second half. But the first half, no pressure. It's a rookie quarterback. Second start. You should have guys. You should see if you can sneak like 75 guys on the field and just have everybody flying. You should have guys dropping out of the stars. Just, you should have guys all over that guy. We got one hit. One hit on the guy. Are you kidding me? That's all what? We did do a good job against Davante Adams. Now, maybe that had something to do with it. We didn't want Davante Adams wrecking the game, and we only gave up 4 receptions, I think. I think he had like 34 yards or something, so did a very good job there. Didn't do a very good job against the others, but, with the defense, it's, I don't know. It's, who do you want us to draft? Quarterback. Quarterback. Now, I'm not going to sit here, hey, I just spent the last 312 hours of my life breaking down all the quarterback tapes from the quarterbacks in this draft class. I watched every throw every guy made, every drop back he made. Every play, I diagnosed it from 312 different angles. I spent 4.5 years on each play, seeing the guy, seeing his eyes. Does he, his eyes go from here to here to here to back to this? Ain't happening, pal. I don't have that much time in the day. So I really don't have. I like this guy. This guy is good. I've watched all his. I don't have that. What I would like to say though is that Dable's done pretty good with Josh Allen, right? So we got to pretty much assume that Schoen and Dable are still going to be here. This season got derailed. First drive into the season. This season was almost the train jumped the tracks and started and off the tracks and into the goalie. And the guy, whoever it was, jumped over the line of scrimmage, blocked the Graham Gano punt. Andrew Thomas starts running after him, pulls his hamstring. Somebody cleated, I think, Gano on that play, stepped on his ankle or cleated him or something like that. A blocked field goal back for time. It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So, the season has just gone, it's just, we lost our starting quarterback 2 times this year, right? Daniel Jones with the neck, right? Misses a couple games, comes back, then he ACL, right? The backup quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, he might be out for a couple. He may not even come back to who knows, right? Ain't no other team going to be able to get their 3rd string quarterback in there and be able to win a Super Bowl. That's not happening. All the injuries. I think this might be the 10th different starting offensive line the Giants might have. Because if we get Andrew Thomas in there and if Tyree Phillips is the right tackle, right? This might be the 10th different starting offensive line the Giants have. Ain't no other team out there. No other team. 10 different starting offensive lines on their 3rd string quarterback. They lose their starting quarterback twice, their backup quarterback. Ain't no other team going to no Super Bowl, nothing like that. So, this season is just, so you got to give Schoen and Dable, got to give them another couple of years. Now, the thing is that especially if they draft a quarterback, right, this will give them a couple years. Because if next year goes in the dumper and they draft a quarterback for the future, they're not going to want to bring somebody else in and it'd be like, they got a nice young quarterback here, but that's not the guy I want. I want somebody, So if they draft a quarterback, that's going to give them a couple years. But the nice thing is that you can see what Dable did with Josh Allen. So whoever, Dable, Schoen and Dable, they got to get it together, right? The better interior. That's it. We got to do something with that. So, it's just like, what are you going to do? Keep drafting more guys? It's on. We draft. We got Bredesen there, Glowinski, right? McKeithen, Zudu. What are we going to do with Neal? And we said we're just going to keep drafting more and more guys. And after, hopefully, we draft 9 or 10 more offensive linemen, and we just keep plugging them in. Hopefully something will work. And then, of course, then we got to also help that hopefully we can stay healthy too. It's unbelievable. Oh yeah, Dable still hasn't got his guy. Well, that's the thing, because Dable's been Alabama, right? He's been with New England, Buffalo, Josh Allen, yada yada yada. I think Jalen Hurts. I think he was with. So he knows, right? So obviously Shane and Dable, they're gonna, you got to see where the Giants are drafting. Maybe Dable might say, "There's 2 guys I like. Let's get one of those 2 guys," or there might be 1 guy he likes or whatever. But if Dable finds his guy and they can get him, that's going to be his little pet project. That's going to be his project, right? And don't be surprised if maybe next season Dable maybe gets more involved in calling the plays or something like that. But he's going to get this quarterback and he's going to mold them and he's going to make it his own little pet project. Because remember, Daniel Jones came with Kmart. He came with the shop, right? He did decent last year, but he has not progressed this year, right? So he's not the quarterback for the long-term future, I don't think, for the Giants. So I think that Dable, Shane and Dable, they get a guy, right? Watch, Dable. It's going to be Dable's little pet project, and he's gonna work hand in hand with him and try to mold them. And if he can, he did pretty good with Josh Allen. Of course, Josh Allen's a certain talent, But if Dable finds somebody he likes, you got to feel pretty good about that. You don't know, if Shane and Dable, right? If we went back to 2019 and Shane and Dable were head coach and GM, would they have drafted Daniel Jones? Yeah, right. Well, that's that too. I mean, it's tough getting the, keep firing. Bringing in new GMs, bringing in new guys. I've said this a bunch of times. I mean, obviously, it's a little skewed because Coughlin was around since 2004. But if you go back to 2014, and this is 2023, so that's 10 seasons. 2014 to 2023, it's 10 seasons. We've had 5 coaches. Each one's been here for 2 years. Coughlin, I know he's been here for a lot longer, but you go back to 2014. Coughlin was 2014 and 2015. 16 and 17 was McAdoo. 18 and 19 was Shermer. 2021 was Judge. 22 and 23 is Dable. You can't do that. You can't. And we're on our 3rd GM too, because Reese is gone. Gettleman's gone. Now we got Shane. I mean, and a lot of this is, Shane, I think Shane's done a decent job, right? I mean, he's brought in a bunch of offensive linemen. I think we did pretty decent with the draft. He got a lot in return for Leonard Williams. He got a 2nd-round pick in return. He brought in Waller. You knew he had some, the injury possibility. We got Isaiah Simmons. He drafted pretty well. I mean, Jalen Hyatt, Banks, right? John Michael Schmitz, Micah McFadden, Wandale Robinson. So he's brought some guys. So a lot of it's not Shane's. I mean, it's not Shane's fault these guys got injured, right? Maybe you can complain about, we should have franchise tagged Daniel Jones instead of giving a long-term contract. You can say certain things that, but I mean, Shane's done a pretty good job so far. And as I said, we gave up a 3rd and I think a 5th to get Leonard Williams. We had him for 4, basically halfway through 19 to halfway through 2020, halfway to 2021, 2022, and halfway to 2023. So we had him for like 4 kind of full seasons, if you will. We gave up, I think, a 3rd and a 5th. We had the guy for 4 seasons, and we're getting back a 2nd and a 5th for him. I mean, we had to pay his salary, though. So basically, we kind of paid for that draft pick. Because if somehow Seattle had to pay for half of his salary or whatever like that, I'm sure we weren't getting a 2nd in return. But we paid, but we got a second. So so next season we have a first, and we have 2 seconds. Now, because it's Seattle's second, it's going to be a late second round pick. But we still got 2 seconds. But now that gives us some ammunition if we got to move up a few spots, right? We're gonna probably, unfortunately, probably top 10 pick, right? And we got 2 seconds, and then also you can throw in next year's first round pick if you had to. I mean, we had to do that with Eli Manning, right? To jump up. I think it might have been. I think we were picking 4th with Eli. Is that right? When we drafted Phillip Rivers, I think we were 4th. So I think we moved up like 3 spots, and we had to give up like 2 firsts. What else we had? We had to give up. I think it was like a 3rd and a 5th or something like. We had to give up quite a bit to get Eli Manning. So it'd be the same thing, So we'd have to give up probably 2 first rounds if we're going to go from 4 to number 1 or whatever. But as I said, I mean, if Dable, if he's excited about somebody, right? It's supposed to be a good class. Right? I don't know if there's a Trevor Lawrence or an Andrew Luck coming out or something like a can't miss prospect, but there's supposed to be some pretty good quarterbacks. So if Dable latches on to somebody, okay, you feel pretty good about that. Of course, we also have to stay healthy as well too. But we got to find something with this offensive line too. It's just, and I'm saying, what are you supposed to do? Keep drafting like 5 offensive linemen each year, and hopefully, after 13 years, you get it right. I mean, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. All right. What else we got here? What else? Okay. Yeah. Leonard Williams. Very, very classy. Really like this. This is really classy. I mean, this speaks volumes about Shane, right? And also, I mean, that this might really help, like maybe in the future going forward, getting other, like maybe free agents coming in here or something like that. The guys treat you right. I mean, that's huge. I mean, obviously, hey, there's I guess what three things, right? But one, with a new guy coming in, maybe a free agent, right? Obviously, the money's got to be right, right? But the situation, the culture and all of that, right? That's how do they treat you there, right? And then, but also some of it too is some guys want to play on winners. Like I don't want to go to the Giants; they're rebuilding. I only got a couple of years left. I'm a veteran. I'm 32. I don't want to go to the Giants. It might take them 3 years to get to the Super Bowl. I may not be around in 3 years. So some guys just want to go to I want to go to somebody who's going to be like maybe let me go to the Eagles or the Cowboys. With my talent, maybe I can push them guys over the edge. Maybe we can get back to the Eagles and get back to the Super Bowl. Maybe I can win a So there's a few different things, but one of them is culture. And if you got a GM that kind of goes up to a guy, hey, we got this draft trade for you. I mean, it's what do you think? We don't have to take it. It's up to you. You give me a call. It's like sit down. You go back to Seattle, right? They got a winning record. We know how it's toward the end of the year. Well, not toward it. They got a few years left, maybe another 3-4 years, or But he has only been to the playoffs one time. Seattle's doing really well. Things are looking good. I think they went first place in the West. What do you think? Hey, apparently he could have vetoed it if he wanted to. So I mean that had to be hard because Seattle's telling Shane, saying, yeah, we'll give you a second rounder. You're going to be like, what? We'll give you a second and a 5th. What? Are you serious? So to go to Leonard Williams and say, what do you think? I mean, you can veto it if you want, And in the back of Shane's mind, he's like, man, we're going to get a second round pick for this guy. Holy cow. That's very, very classy. That speaks volumes. And as I said, hopefully going forward, that might help get some higher class player into the Giants organization if they know that they're treating their players correctly. I mean, some of that's huge. I mean, obviously, money is king, cash is king, right? But you want to go to some place that treats you well, right? So Giants Leonard Williams trade was as classy as it was atypical. It was around 11 a.m. on Monday, October 30th, when Brandon Parker noticed a call coming in from Leonard Williams. This was somewhat alarming, as Williams, in true millennial fashion, almost always communicated with his agent via text. So his agent, Brandon Parker, said something had to be up. So when I saw his number, my heart kind of dropped, and I thought, this better not be what I think it is, Parker said. I better not be hearing my client that he was traded before the team calls me. So usually what they want, right, is if the Giants are trading, right, they call the agent first, right? So Parker was saying this better not be, right, that they told he's getting traded and then I don't even know about it. So, but that was not what Leonard Williams was calling his agent about. Williams told Parker, his agent, he had just left the office of general manager Joe Schoen. Here was the deal. The Giants informed Williams that they had the framework of a trade in place. They would not send him clear across the country. Framework of the trade that would send him clear across the country to Seattle. That was the trade. The compensation was better than they anticipated, and it was a move the team wanted to make, but only if what? Normally, I certainly would speak on the record about a team because that's a mutual respect thing. He said, the Parker, the agent, I wouldn't speak about a team because that's a mutual respect kind of thing. But Parker told the Post, but because I was so blown away in a good way how the Giants handled this situation, I actually want there to be good things said about this front office. So you got an agent, I mean, a lot of times they're bumping heads. It's not easy, you know what I mean? Especially when Leonard Williams is happy where he's at, this, that, and the other thing and all, and you got agents and GMs, sometimes they bump heads. It's business, it is. But for an agent to say he wants to go out of his way and say something about the front office in a good way, that speaks volumes. He said, little to nothing has gone right for the Giants this season, and they are 16.5-point underdogs for a game against the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium that feels like could be wind up being a massacre. The new front office that was toasted for last season's unexpected success is now getting roasted for all the bad football inherent in their record of 2-7. This is the way it works in the big leagues. Absolutely. Yep. One time, as John Mara told Brian Dable, 1 week you're Bonzo, then the next week he could be Bozo. So Shane and his staff cannot bail out all the onrushing water, but they can do everything possible to maintain a professional and classy operation, even as the ship is sinking. Right? With Williams, this was not a case of the team jettisoning a popular veteran. Williams was a participant in the process. He weighed staying with teammates and a franchise he had come to appreciate with the stark reality of this dismal season and the opportunity to relocate for a few months and dive into immediate playoff contention, which is something, he wants desperately, especially to win a Super Bowl. Williams said, I've been traded before and it was very abruptly. Williams said, I kind of had no say when he traded from the Jets to the Giants. Williams said when he arrived in Seattle, alluding to the 2019 trade from the Jets to the Giants. In this situation, my GM, Joe Schoen, came to me, and he wasn't shopping me around, but out of respect for me and where I am at in my career, being a little older, he pretty much let me know that there are a few teams, including Seattle, that were on the winning side of the season and going to make a push this year. This is not atypical. Giving a player who did not have a no-trade clause in his contract a chance to veto a trade is not business as usual. But Joe Schoen made it business as usual. It was a hard decision for Leonard, Parker said. It wasn't, I want to get out of here, and they certainly weren't like, we want to ship you out. It was more like, this was probably be best for both sides. But now also, I mean, the thing is here is, you got to remember too, is that, this is just, they didn't sign him, right? They would be crazy not to sign him. They'd be crazy to give up a second round and a fifth round pick for a guy that they're not going to sign next season. So it's not like, he's a free agent after this season, right? So he's now with Seattle. Now Seattle probably, have the first, hey, Leonard, what do you think? You want to, we give you whatever. I don't know. We'll give you, 3 years, whatever, $15 million a year, right? And we're going to have a good chance to be in the playoffs every year. What do you think? What do you say, buddy? What do you think? So I guess first dibs at him, but that doesn't mean he has to sign with him. He can always come back to the Giants next year. I'm not saying he is. I don't know if they're going to want him back. Plus they ain't going to give him much. But, very, very classy. Very, very classy. So, but as I said, that's something that speaks volumes about Schoen, the front office, right? And, as far as maybe getting guys in here in the future, right? Because, guys know guys. They right? They play with, on certain different teams, but they know each other, right? Yeah. So-and-so, the Giants might call so-and-so for a free agent to come with the Giant, and so-and-so might know Bobby Okereke, and he's texting, Bob, hey, the Giants just texted me. They're kind of interested, want me to come in. What do you think? What do you think about the organization? What do you think about the front office? The coach, they treating you right there and stuff like that? Okereke or whatever. Oh, yeah, and good. We had a rough season last year, but we're looking to improve big time this year. But I tell you what, the front office is A+. Dable, these guys, the coaches treat me right? Everything's, you know what I mean? So that could be huge for the Giants, right? So I like that. All right. Oh, and here we go. What happens when the Giants have the ball? Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. What to expect when New York has the football? This, I think, from Nick Filato. He does a very good job. Oh, my goodness. Of course, the week one, the Giants offense was inept, couldn't protect Jones. The result was the Cowboys' biggest shutout victory in history, 40-0. Jeez, God. Let's see, defensive statistics. Yeah, Giants have one win in the last 13 games against Dallas. That lone win concluded the 2020 season against Andy Dalton. The Giants would have made the playoffs had the Eagles defeated Washington in what is now referred to as the Nate Sudfeld game. New York has yet to defeat Dak Prescott. Never defeated Dak Prescott. Defensive statistics. Dallas has the 6th best NFL scoring defense, and it's probably going to get better this week. They've only given up 18.5 points per game, and it's probably going to go down after this game. Just behind the Bills, the 49ers, and the Browns. The Cowboys' defense only allowed 288 yards of offense, which is 3rd best in the NFL, behind Baltimore and Cleveland. Dallas does rank 15th in run defense. So the Giants, if they have any chance, you tell me we got a chance. No, not really. But handing Saquon the rock is, of course, when you're trying to run the ball, obviously, you have to be in the football game. You can't be, let's keep getting the run going. You can't be down 28-0 halfway through the 3rd quarter. Let's get the running game going. So, let's see. But let's see. And they have a very good. They only allow 179 yards per pass in giving up. Geez. Dallas defense is tied for 2nd in interception percentage at 4%, which is really good, and ranks 17th in sacks with 21. course, I think half of their sacks came in week 1 against the Giants. So the Giants game plan, Giants will play ball control offense and try to avoid DeVito into obvious passing situations. Yeah, you can't, you can't get 3rd down and 13 or something like that. Yeah, or if you do, you do a draw, or you hand the ball off to Saquon or whatever, or you run a screen or something. You don't want it where DeVito's got to get the ball and has got to stand back in the pocket, on an obvious passing situation, and when he has to stand in the pocket long enough to try to complete a pass 10, 15 yards down the field. That's asking for it. Dan Quinn used a lot of multiple safety looks and dime packages to maximize speed. The Cowboys are fast. The Cowboys have a deep and physical safety room that consists of Hooker, Kearse, and Donovan Wilson. And then they have other guys that work in other packages too. But Hook and Kearse have played more than 400 snaps this season. Wilson has missed a few games with injury, but is healthy now. Over the last 2 seasons, Saquon Barkley is 57% of the Giants' overall touches. This includes quarterback rushes. Let's not forget Trevon Diggs is not in there. So that'll help the Giants at least a little bit, right? Barkley averaged 4.3 yards per carry on 18 carries in week 1. But, if the thing is, once you're down, 40 points, you can run the ball. They'll let you run the ball, but you're not going to win the football game running the ball, right? Established the run to set up the play action is tried and true method for the Giants, but not necessarily against the Cowboys, who does an excellent job keeping the Giants' bootleg attempts in check. DeVito had some success in garbage time against the Raiders with half-field high-low reads. His touchdown at Wan'Dale Robinson was on a mirrored smash concept, and his deep pass to Darius Slayton was against a cover 2 defense with 2 vertical routes to the boundaries. DeVito found the whole shot for a nice gain. He also hit Bellinger on a sail concept corner route. But it might have been garbage time or this, that, or whatever. But one thing I was impressed with, and I'm certainly not saying DeVito's the savior, or DeVito's this, or not. I'm certainly not saying that. But you got to give the man some credit. Playing behind like a patchwork offensive line, Neal. He got hurt that game. Thomas just came back. He's not 100%. We got Pugh straight off the couch. Just that he doesn't have a lot of reps behind this offensive line. Doesn't have a lot of reps thrown to these receivers, especially in playing situations, right? Especially the week before, I think he threw 7 passes. The whole game he was in, he threw 7 passes, right? So he was, it was 15 out of 20. Once again, it was just the one game, so this is a different animal. The Cowboys are a different animal than the Raiders. I get that. But he's 15 out of 20. He averaged, I think, 8.8 yards per pass attempt. He did have the 2 interceptions. One really wasn't his fault. But he had the 2 interceptions early. The whole second half, I think he was, we had the touchdown. I think it was interception free. And he completed 75% of his passes. Actually completed more because 2 of them got intercepted. So actually, in a funny way, he was 17 out of 20. That's 85% completion. Of course, the problem was the Raiders scored 2 of the passes. But, the Giants, it's so easy to say you got to stay out of the long situations. You got to stay in the game. A lot of it's on the defense, all this stuff and everything. So it's rather difficult. I said it's got to stay somewhat close. We got to, the down and distance on 3rd down. You can't have 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12. You can't take a sack on 2nd down, make it 3rd down at 14 or because then it said you might as well just hand the ball, bring Breida in or somebody like that. Just hand the ball, a screen pass or something like that. Don't have them, try to obviously mix it up. If you think the Cowboys maybe think it might be a running situation, pass it. If they think it's a passing situation, run it. Get them off balance as best you can. Try to keep, the defense is going to be huge in this one. If you're going to have any type of a prayer in this game, the defense is going to be huge. You got to keep the Giants in the game, right? Easier said than done, especially when you lost 40-0 in week 1. And as I said, so you got to do whatever you can to help DeVito out. But, one thing I like about that with DeVito in there is that we'll have him playing for, probably, who knows? Daniel Jones is out. You don't know if Tyrod Taylor will be back. If he does come back, you don't know if he's going to go in there. You don't know. Because we may not have Tyrod Taylor here next year. We may not have Tommy DeVito here next year. But it would be nice to see, is Tommy DeVito worth keeping around for next season, right? He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Dan Marino. But, he might be an all right backup quarterback. Well, maybe, He's from up North Jersey. He'd love to be a Giant, right? I mean, if you think he can maybe develop him a little bit more and gets a little bit better, maybe, keeps, it's his first year in the system. Get him in the same system for a couple of years. He knows the system like the back of his hand and all that, right? Maybe he might be a backup quarterback. Could be our backup quarterback going forward. Who knows, right? So I mean that's a positive here, right? Especially now he's going to. I mean, if he's going to be playing, if he's going to be playing the end of the season, he's going to be playing 2 games against the Eagles, right? And he's got this game against the Cowboys. So but the defense, it's going to be a team effort. I mean, the defense has got to try to keep us in the game. Have to feed Saquon the ball a lot. We got the down and distance. We got to try to keep it, manageable. But of course, that's a lot easier said than done. So, but then I also saw this too. Here was I saw. I think it was one of the Facebook groups or something like that. Somebody mentioned something along the lines like with DeVito, Barkley, and Eason. Are those like the 3 worst quarterbacks the Giants have ever had? Right, and you can maybe say yeah. Right, I say no. And the reason why I say no is because the reason why we got these 3 is because of injuries, right? Now, say all these guys get injured. We're going to bring in 3 guys who are even worse, right? What I'm saying is that is Eason, Barkley, and DeVito, the worst 3 quarterbacks the Giants have ever had at one time. I said no. I said because for these 3 guys to be here, there was injuries, right? So in 1977 and 78, we had I think in 78, all 3 of these guys played, but they were on the team, and it wasn't because we had injuries. These were the 3 quarterbacks: Jerry Goldstein, Randy Dean, and Joe Pisarcik. I think they were the worst 3 the Giants have ever had, period, because there was no injuries. It wasn't like, we had Joe Montana, Dan Marino, and Terry Bradshaw, and those 3 guys got hurt, and the backup and the guys that we brought in to replace those injured guys was Randy Dean, Jerry Goldstein, and Joe Pisarcik. Now, those were our starting 3, right? It was I know Joe Pisarcik was the starter, and then Jerry Goldstein and Randy Dean were kind of like back and forth. They were 1A or 2A and 2B. You can pretty much interchangeable. But in 1978, I think all 3 of them played. But it wasn't basically because, we started losing guys. That's why we had those 3 guys on the roster. No, those are our 3 quarterbacks. As bad as they are, those were our 3 quarterbacks for 1977 and 1978. So, I mean, you can go all the way back, and there was almost every year there was an established quarterback, relatively established, a little bad quarterback here or there. I mean, you could also look back into maybe the 90s where we had Dave Brown, Danny Canal, Kent Graham, But I think with Dave Brown, Canal, and Graham, I think they were better than Goldstein, Dean, and Pisarcik from 77 to 78. As I said, you go all the way back. I mean, if you go back to 49, from 1949 to 61, we had Charlie Connolly. He won us the title. We retired his number. 61 to 64, we had Wyatt Tittle. Took us to 3 championship games. We retired his number. 65 and 66, we had Earl Morrall. Now, he did not do phenomenal with the Giants, but our team stunk. But he did go to Super Bowls with two different teams. He played in two different Super Bowls with the Baltimore Colts, and he helped bring this 1972, the undefeated Dolphins, to the Super Bowl. He didn't play in the Super Bowl, but he helped bring them there, right? So he has multiple Super Bowl rings. He has 2 with the Dolphins and 1 with the Colts. So he's got 3 Super Bowl rings, right? Then we had from 67 to 71, we had Fran Tarkenton, a Hall of Famer. 72 and 73 and a part of 74, we had Norm Snead. You know, okay quarterback, certainly nothing super spectacular, but he was an okay quarterback. He could throw the ball. Actually, he led the I think it might have been the NFC or the NFL in passing completion in 1972, right? He led us to a winning season in 1972. 74, half of 74, 75, and 76, we had Craig Morton, who went to a Super Bowl with the Broncos. He played in the Super Bowl with the Cowboys, and he played in another Super Bowl with the Cowboys. He got a ring, Super Bowl ring, but that was in 71. Staubach played in the Super Bowl. Staubach was but Morton was on the sideline. He was the backup quarterback. He got himself a ring. 77 and 78, as we had Jerry Goldstein, Joe Pisarcik, and Randy Dean. 79, we drafted Phil Simms, right? So 79 to 80 to 90 was it 3, I think it was, whatever. We had Phil Simms. Then we had Dave Brown, Ken Graham, and Danny Canal. So a little bit, you know. Dave Brown was a high draft choice, right? You know, that was but I'll take Canal, Graham, and Brown any day of the week over Joe Pisarcik, right? Jerry Goldstein and Randy Dean. Let's also forget we had Jeff Hostetler in there as well too. Then we had Kerry Collins, right? Late 90s, early into 2003. Then we had 2 Hall of Famers. Eli Manning being a Hall of Fame. We had Kurt Warner and Eli Manning for 1 year. Then we had Eli Manning for the longest time, right? Then we had whether you like him or not, Daniel Jones. I'll still take Daniel Jones any day of the week over Joe Pisarcik, Randy Dean, and Jerry Goldstein. So I mean, so for the Giants, we've always pretty much had, for the most part, a somewhat established core. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is a world beater, but he could certainly do some good things. He never had a number 1 wide receiver. We always had problems with our offensive line. We've had some pretty bad offensive play calling, right? He's had his injuries. Sometimes he was there. Saquon got injured. So sometimes it's not always. Sometimes it was his fault. Don't get me wrong. Bad play, interceptions, not seeing open receivers, not looking at your progression and all of that. But he's a high draft choice, and he certainly can do some good things. That's for sure. But as I said, the quarterbacks we got right now, these 3, I mean, obviously with Barkley, DeVito, and Eason, without question, they're absolutely it's like, who the are these guys? But the only reason why we got these 3 guys is because we had injuries. I'm saying right now, I said between like 77 and 78, there was no injuries. The guys we had on our roster, right, was Joe Pisarcik, Jerry Goldstein, and Randy Dean. I think those 3 guys, those are our base starters. Those like first string, second string, and third string, right? I think without question, right? Because it wasn't like we had a bunch of guys got injured, we brought these guys in. No, these are the guys that are on our on the roster, right? These are our guys, first string, second string, third string, right? I think 77 and 78. And that, you kind of wonder why we stunk back then, too, right? I say Joe Pisarcik, Randy Dean, and Jerry Goldstein. 77, 78. And I think in 78, all 3 of them got a chance to play a little bit. And we were not very good, right? We were not a good team. We're not very well coached. We had a good defense, not a good offense, not well coached, not like that. So I think what we got right now is because the guys were injured. That's why we have our quarterbacks right now. But I said 1970 for me, 1977, 1978. Those 3 guys, I think, were the worst quarterback tandem that the Giants have ever had. roster. Well, guys, it's been over an hour. Well, whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. If anybody spends any time watching replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo!